This has been an interview I've been waiting to have, and she's here in the building. OG from Basketball Wives. Look, you're more than just Basketball Wives.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's start from there. Before we met you in Basketball Wives, give the back history of who is OG.
Well, OG is a bright, fun, vibrant little Nigerian firecracker. You know, I've been an athlete my whole life, so sports was nothing new to me. I went from playing volleyball, soccer, track, basketball to American football. I'm very creative, so a part of me was always watching my mom sew, watching my grandma sew. So I learned how to sew at the age of 6. So I draw, I sew, I cook, I clean, and I'm an athlete. So
that's why you got a man, girl.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'm manless because I don't want to cook, I don't want to clean, I ain't really trying to have sex with you. Child, all the things you got to do if you want a man in your life. Now, are you from Nigeria?
Yes, I'm from Nigeria.
Okay.
I was born in the States.
Okay.
But both my mom and my dad are Nigerian.
Okay.
100%. Nothing mixed in.
How did you get involved in the football aspect? Like, did you wake up one day and say, I don't want to be a cheerleader, I want to hit people? How did that come about?
A little bit. So, like, for me, I have 3 brothers, and I would watch them play football. I would go to every game. I would watch them practice, and I'm like, this is so dope. But they don't have it for women. We're not allowed to do this. So I did every other sport, and then when I saw that this league was starting, I was like, this is a perfect fit. So I met some of the girls, I vibed it out, and then the rest was history.
Got you. But you're done with that chapter in your life.
I am.
So how does it feel now? How many years were you doing it for?
I played football for 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know a woman out there that has ever done that. No breaks, no intermissions, no time off, just hitting for 10 years straight, 11 seasons, both in the States and out of the country for the same league. And for me, I feel like that is a huge accomplishment.
When did you meet your man? You met him during this process?
I met him towards the the end. So I first met Kwame in 2014.
Okay.
And after he flew me out to Greece where he was playing and we started dating, we instantly became boyfriend, girlfriend as soon as I got home.
I love it.
Like, it's happening.
Okay, we're going to get more into Kwame, but now let's set. So when does Basketball Wives, the opportunity come into your life?
So when I was playing football, I also did marketing, and I was offered a position to work with Matt Barnes on his charity events.
Okay.
At the time, they had just started filming the Basketball Wives LA first series. So the production company, after working with Matt on a couple of episodes that they shot, gave me their card, asked me would I like to be on the show because of the person I was dating at the time.
Right.
And I declined. So at that moment, 2012, it wasn't a fit for me.
Okay.
So I kind of just put it on the back burner, and then it resurfaced again a couple years ago, and now it's happening.
There's interview processes with this stuff. So when you were interviewing the process to be on the show, did it ever come up that you met Chad?
No, not at all. He's my friend. I mean, if you followed him on social media, you would know that we know each other simply because we've bantered back and forth publicly on social media about football, about soccer, and about just all types of whales, you name it. We've talked about everything on social media. So if you followed him, you knew that he knew me. And if you followed me, you knew that I knew him just off of the fact that we're both athletes.
Got you. So you were familiar with the show. So before you meet them, before you're a part of the cast, did you know of Evelyn and Tammy and Jennifer? So you knew of the cast of the women.
I had no idea who any of those women were. Respectfully, I didn't watch the show.
Okay.
I worked with Matt and Laura and Gloria for that one charity event.
Okay.
But I didn't watch the show. So I knew Chad from the Bengals, from being an athlete. I had no idea what his dating life was like. I had no idea who he talked to. And I had no idea about Basketball Wives Miami. And I barely knew about Basketball Wives LA.
Okay. So when, how did you physically meet Chad? Was it on social media?
No, he reached out to me on social media.
Okay, so
and I never went to any of the invitations of I'll fly you out. I couldn't go. I'm in season 2.
I don't know the time record, but I guess it was said at that time he was engaged to Evelyn.
That's what they say. I have no idea.
Okay.
When he reached out to me and started talking to me, instantly he asked me if I had a boyfriend, and I said no. It's 2011. I'm super single and ready to mingle. He said he had no girlfriend, and I trusted that, and I went with it. But I'm also not a person who pries, so I'm not going to search for something that if he says he doesn't, I'm still getting to know the man. So he didn't have a girlfriend, he didn't have a girlfriend.
Right. So now obviously you guys had your interaction, and it is what it is. You get on Basketball Wives. Now, by this moment, you know he was everything that happened with him and Evelyn.
Yes. by the time I'm on the show.
Right, but you just kept your own personal interaction to yourself.
Correct.
Okay. Now, and no producer, because I thought I saw at some point in time, it was you reached out to him when Evelyn was pulling out receipts because they asked you to talk about Chad. And I was confused.
That was my first year. So my very first year on the show. What a lot of people don't understand is, like you said, there's an interview process.
Yeah.
And you don't just get to just be on a show. They do a background check. They do a social media check. They do a character check. They check everything about you, your psychological check, to make sure you're not off a little bit, because they also don't want to put somebody in harm's way.
Right.
So they make sure and do a full-on investigation before they even invite you to be a part of an ensemble cast.
Right.
And a lot of the general public don't know that. So in the midst of them doing that, they pulled up all of my tweets, and they obviously know I've tweeted with a lot of people. So my very first season, they asked me, did I want to talk about the situation? Because as you all witnessed, it was a very heated conversation between Tammy and the other young lady. So they had kept bringing it up, and they had kept asking me, and I declined because I had nothing to do with it, and I'm not going to speak on a subject where I wasn't present at.
Is it safe to say that Shawnee knew about your connection or whatever you had with Chad that season? Because she's part of the producing team, isn't she?
She is a part of the executive production team. I don't know on what level. Okay. I don't know what she's privy to, so I could never answer that question.
Got you. I won't call it shade, but you said Tammy and the other lady, so you don't say her name?
There's no need.
Okay.
There's sometimes I'm the type of person where I like to deliver a message about someone to them.
Right.
So for me, if I'm speaking about someone without them present, 9 times out of 10, they already know how I feel, and I've already said this to their face.
Right.
So for me, I did not waste 1 ounce of my time during filming talking about people. What happened was they kept bringing my name up, and so I had to retaliate with my words. I had to tell them, okay, A, you're incorrect, stop talking about me, and I'm not going to be victim and talk about somebody. But in the midst of an interview, not a problem. We can talk about any subject.
Right. So did you know, now let's get into this whole bombshell of what happened, because this is already pre-taped. So obviously, are you watching it back like we are as viewers as the weeks are playing? Are you watching it for the first time? Are you seeing what people are saying about you for the first time? Or do you guys get footage before the world gets to see it?
We get no footage before the world gets to see it. We obviously know what happens in real time.
Right.
We know what we said, and if you have a great memory, you know what because, in an argument, you don't remember everything everybody's saying. Right. But we definitely know what's happening. We just don't know what's going to make final cut.
Okay. So this is our first time meeting, and I love her already, but our first time meeting, and I wanted to say that because via social media and just also at my voice and media, I have been very passionate about what happened to you. And I say first time meeting because people were like, oh, you must know her personally. I was like, no, I never met her, but I can see clearly what's happening on TV. Right. So I'm not the biggest fan of the show, only because I hate to see the women arguing. I'm very familiar with Basketball Wives, though. So, I've watched it throughout my life, but am I a consistent watcher? No, I'm not. So I kind of came in towards the end, and I saw the argument when you and Evelyn had, and when she called you ugly, and I was very offended. I was offended, but that wasn't colorism to me in that moment. I just was like, oh, she called her ugly, so now she really saying how she really feels. And just as a black woman, I was offended. I didn't like that. It was the following week when they had this picture painted of you as the most aggressive woman on the show, and because of that, we have a safety issue where I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, hell no. Because if you're familiar with Basketball Wives, then you're familiar with the violence on the show. And any natural person with sense will say, well, how come this rule wasn't implemented before? When there were people that, Jennifer, who I know in real life, who I adore, she was literally being attacked for years. There was a time I was like, Jennifer, you need to go on set with a bat. Because I want them to know that if they come for you, you got this bat next to you at any given time. But she's like a sweetheart. That's just not who she is in spirit. So she was an easy target. But there was no safety measures for her. There was no okay, Evelyn, you can't be in this scene because we're nervous that you're going to attack Jennifer. It wasn't the same. So when we seen this with our own eyes happen with you, and then put you in a different room and you can't be around, colorism was the first thing that I thought of.
Right.
What did you feel going through it?
It's not so much what I feel. It's what I just simply observed.
Right.
I observed a whole lot of things that the world was not privy to. When you talk about colorism, you have to fully understand what that word means to even have an open discussion about it, to even have an option to kind of relate to what someone is talking about, their experience was, or what their observation was. What I witnessed was myself being segregated for no valid reason. And to me, that was not justified in the moment. Mind you, a lot takes place when you are putting together a production.
Right.
So there was a whole lot of opportunities where anyone could have informed me prior to taping, prior to that moment when I'm here, I'm elated, I'm happy, I'm ready for closure for this season, ready to go through the process and be done, because it's stressful, okay? No one knows what it's like to have a camera in your face, to be in an environment that's hostile, to be in an environment with women that don't even know you and don't really want to get to know you. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to make it seem like this was just the greatest experience, because it wasn't. However, can I do it with my eyes closed? Absolutely. I'm tough.
Right.
I can't explain what I've been through my whole life. I didn't just wake up and become black. I didn't just wake up and become African. This is who I am. This is what I will always be. So this is an experience of a lifetime. It just so happens this was capsulated with cameras present. That's what makes a big difference. So it's going to invoke a different type of emotion if you've experienced this any part of your life. These women cannot relate if it never happened to them. And the few that could relate were so terrified or so weak-minded that they couldn't express how they truly felt in the moment. So for me, if you're not going to talk about it when it's happening, we're not going to talk about it later.
Right.
This happened, I pointed it out when it happened, and I moved the fuck on.
Right.
Period, point blank. I don't have to dwell on something because this is something I will have to work through my entire life.
When was the moment, like I said, for me, it was when, towards one of the last episodes when Shawnee was talking to Jackie about, oh, she's too aggressive, she can't be around the group anymore. That was the first time I was like, wait a minute now. That was my first moment of what I consider to be colorism. But what was your first experience that you felt on this show you're dealing with colorism?
I would have to say what I've observed is every time I open my mouth, I wasn't allowed to voice my opinion, and anytime I did voice my opinion, it was belittled, it was demeaned, it was like, no, she don't know what she's talking about, and it had nothing to do with anybody else. No one else got that same exact type of reaction when they spoke. Everyone else got to put their POV out there, and no one stopped them, no one shut them down, no one kind of like, no, girl, did it. And I'm not stupid. I'm an intelligent person. I know how to analyze things. And last time I checked, I was hired to voice my opinion. That's our job.
Right.
Our job to be on any type of ensemble cast is to be opinionated. Is to be able to give some type of analyzation, whether it's right or all the way wrong. That's our job. So you weren't allowing me to do my job on what basis? And when we say the word aggressive, do we even understand the definition? Because if that's the word you choose to use on someone, understand that means physical first.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Physical first. If everybody understands the origin of the word aggression and aggressive, you have to do something physical. I have not done anything physical. Now, if you have an aggressive manner or aggressive tone, okay, now you're using it in the right sentence. But to just flat out say, oh, she's aggressive, no.
Right.
That was a complete incorrect use of the word.
And that's what I think bothered me the most, was painting you as the most aggressive person to ever be on the show. And because of that, we have to, segregate you from the group. And I mean, this is just a show, and, it's, but it's your real life. So, of course, it's going to hit you in a real way. But the analogy I might give next, people might be offended by, but it's an analogy I think makes sense. When cops see black men, they say, I had to shoot, I was afraid, and then they get justified because they can justify their fear. But if it's a Caucasian person who could be cussing them out,
right,
drunk, high, say all outrageous things, the cop is never afraid for their life, and therefore they never shoot that person. But when it's a black men, they know that, with cops just just try to get home for the night, because they can have any excuse to be afraid of you. And again, that's a very serious example, you know, compared to what we're talking about, what went through with you. But I still felt as though they were perpetrating you as this most aggressive woman because you were a darker skin tone.
Absolutely.
And that is considered to be colorism.
Right.
And people don't think that. Now I want to ask you this, because there's people I have had this conversation with that are, we're both chocolate girls, but there's people that are darker than me that don't think that what you went through is colorism. And they feel as though you are utilizing the word colorism just to get people like myself and other people emotionally attached to it, and then to kind of be a part of Team OG. What do you say to the people that don't feel as though you went through colorism?
They're entitled to their feelings. Okay, but what those people don't have is an analyzation firsthand. You're not there the entire time for the X amount of hours and minutes we are filming. You get a condensed version of what is portrayed based off of whose narrative. It's not my narrative. I don't have executive producer on the back of my name. I don't have an influence on the cast or to be a part of the team where I get to say, ooh, cut out this part where my stomach looks fat and put a highlight on my face right here. And you know what? I did kind of act out of turn, because there were plenty of times where other cast members who look like they're innocent wild out and you never saw it. Perfect example. If I'm so aggressive, wouldn't you have more of an array of instances where, here we go, here's another thing. If that's the narrative you wanted to go, cool. You like it, I love it. You want to paint me as an aggressor. Where's the footage? The one footage they chose to show was one time I got up and I went to address Phoebe, okay? Mm-hmm. And what was happening prior to that moment? You only had 2 seconds of footage, but where is the lead up? Do you think that people will wake up and say, I'm going to come into set and just fuck this shit up and just, I'm going to cuss her out? No. I was so quiet while I was demeaned, while my ethnicity was demeaned. I was called gorilla. I was called monkey. I was called ugly. My man was called
gorilla and
Phoebe. Okay? And the ensemble cast was there present. So I would have loved to have seen that entire scene so that everyone else would understand this is not, oh, jump on Team OG. I'm not trying to invoke anything. I point out what I see, what my observation is, and you can either agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. I know my version of what happened because I was physically there the entire amount of time this took place. Now, backtrack. It wasn't even my idea really to address colorism because I don't have the energy to talk about something that is very negative, very emotionally charged, and was here before I was born and is going to be here when I leave. But I also have no problem touching on it because it's happening. And if you really listen to my choice of words, I said there is a colorism issue. Mm-hmm. I never said I feel as though this or I feel as though that, because this is my job. There are no feelings. This is work. I come, I do my job, and I bounce. Some people like it, some people don't, but it has worked for me. I've been very successful in every avenue where I had that method, and so I'm not going to change it. Mm-hmm. My job has no feelings. I come, I work, I don't let things get under my skin, and I move on. But if there's room for improvement, you better believe I'm going to announce it and I'm going to talk about it, because now you see a whole domino effect.
Right.
Now there's new channels coming up with the network talking about what?
Colorism.
Gender,
yeah.
Colorism, how black women are treated. It's not for me to fight this entire battle,
right,
but I don't mind being an advocate because I can speak from firsthand basis where a lot of people can't. I'm getting women that aren't even of the same complexion or ethnicity who can relate, because right, this is not a problem just within the African American or African community. This is a problem within any community where there is a shade lighter and a shade darker.
Right.
That could be Hispanic, that could be Asian, it could be Indian. Any community, these people who are not of one pendulum of hue are going to relate to it. So it really doesn't have anything to do with just one targeted race.
Right.
But a lot of people want to make it that, and they want to make it a race war. There is a difference between racism and colorism. And I'll only have that conversation with people who understand
right,
the core basis of racism and colorism.
Right.
It's two different things.
So, again, because this has been so passionate with the issue with me. How do you, because Kristen is her name, right? Kristen Scott, I believe.
Sure.
Okay, she's a chocolate girl too, a brown skin girl, and so is Jennifer. She's a brown skin girl too. How do you still keep in the conversation of colorism, then explain their treatment? Because people will say, well, they were treated fine and they're also dark-skinned girls, so it can't be based on skin tone. What would be your response to that?
My response to that would be super simple. You're basing what with using the words treated fine. How do you know how they were treated? Did they speak on their experience? Did they speak on their feelings? We don't know what happened in their experience. Jennifer has been on the show for a very long time. I'm sure she has her own personal experiences and opinions that she will share whenever she chooses to share it, good and bad. Right. Kristen has been on the show the same amount of time as me and has definitely gotten different treatment. But here's why. I strongly believe just in Hollywood, just in the entertainment industry, there are two types of black people they like to employ. The class clown and the follower. And me, OG, I don't fall into any one of those categories. You're accepted for being the quota black person when you are going to be the jokester where no one will take you seriously, or you're going to fall in line and follow everything your above tier people tell you to do. And that could range from any ethnicity. I'm not even going to categorize it as one ethnicity. I just know that if you are black in this industry, they want you to be what? Ha 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 ha, cracking jokes, yeah, hood, all the way over the top, nasty, or quiet, you're right. No, yeah, you're right. I agree. I'm not here to be agreeable and I'm not here to be the jokester. I'm here to be myself. And I don't fit in either one of those categories, which also shows a reason why to push you out and isolate you, because you're not doing what we want you to do or doing what we're telling you to do to be our token black person who follows the rules. And you're also not the butt of every joke.
Right. Did it bother you when Mark Lamont, who I know, and I love Mark, obviously in the media world, hey Mark, when he asked the question, and I had some debates with him off air, things that I didn't like that he said, but that was between us. I love Mark, plain and simple. But when he asked the audience, who thinks OG is the most aggressive? And then they raised their hands. And then Kristen also raised her hand too. Watching that back, how did you feel when you saw that scene?
I didn't feel any type of way. Mark is there to do his job.
Right.
Mark is there to get his check. Mark is there to do it however he was instructed to do it. What I will say is this. I don't stand for anyone trying to patronize me. There were conversations with Mark, multiple ones, that didn't all make the air, where he was trying to tell me about this offset arrangement. And I said to Mark, he asked me, well, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I said, I feel as though I was put under duress. And he said, I don't know what that means. I don't know what under duress means. I said, you know what that means. You're an educated man. He said, I didn't graduate high school. Now, anyone who knows anything about Mark Lamont Hill knows he's an educated person.
Yes.
He's an intellect, and he has, I think, 1 or 2 college degrees. So at that moment, I realized this isn't going to be a fair battle. You're supposed to be neutral, and you're patronizing me. You're being condescending. For what? I did nothing to you.
Were there moments that didn't make like that he did have your back, or more neutral, I should say, that didn't make the reunion show? Mark
did his job, and his job was to be the follow in line messenger person.
So now I want to just dive in a little bit, then we're gonna move on. The scene when everything happened, when Evelyn called you ugly and you came back with, well, Chad, wait, what's the line? Chad wanted me, girl.
Ochocinco wanted me.
Ochocinco wanted me. I had a battle with a person that said that they felt as though you were taunting her with her abuser by saying that. And I don't get that, because it's just as simple as she's saying, like, a woman's calling you ugly and I'm revealing the man that you was once in love with thought I was beautiful. So that's not taunting you. That's just letting you know that you probably didn't know the information, but he thought I was beautiful, so whatever you think about me and such as that. But there are some people that still feel as though, well, that was a low blow for her to bring Chad's name up because of everything Evelyn went through with Chad. Do you have a response to that?
I absolutely do. Okay. When did we establish rules in the art of fighting? Okay, there's no low blow, especially when there's no relationship with myself and that young lady. I don't owe her nothing. I don't owe her no loyalty. She has been dragging me behind the scenes and on camera without me present for 2 years now. Do you guys have amnesia? What do you mean low blow? If it was a low blow, I would have said something the year before, but I chose not to because I wanted nothing to do with it. Now let's touch on the quote-unquote alleged abuse and taunting with your abuser. One thing I'm not going to do is use a misfortunate situation and try to exploit that. I was not present when that happened.
Right.
I have no idea who was the aggressor. I am no judge. I am no litigator who has to look at evidence in that case. So I'm not going to label somebody an abuser, and I'm not going to also label somebody that when you took it upon yourself to call this very same person, you took it upon yourself to shoot 1 to 3 scenes talking about this person. If he's your abuser, why are you bringing him as a part of the narrative? Who's taunting who? You're taunting yourself with your abuser. You're meeting with this man's child. You're talking about how you guys are cool, you're friends, you're cordial. And I'm hearing this. So from what I'm observing, you have a very amicable relationship with this person and you guys have moved on from that situation. Again, I don't ever condone any form of abuse, but what I won't do is label somebody something that I have no first eyewitness proof of. So in my simple response, when she called me ugly, as you said, if I'm so ugly, why is it that the person you loved and found you so attractive also finds me attractive? I'm not here to entertain these women. I'm not here to turn you on. I don't like women like that. I appreciate beauty, but I'm very heterosexual. So my appearance is for myself and attracting my spouse or my mate or whoever I want to date. Her to call me ugly, you haven't once heard me call anyone on this ensemble cast ugly, because every pot has a lid and I'm not your lid. Right. I don't have to judge you. I don't have to look you up from head to toe and dissect you and call you ugly or call you this. That's not how I move.
Right. How has that been, this whole conversation about your appearance, of people dissecting whether or not they consider you to be beautiful? Well, I think she is ugly. And I think she's beautiful. This whole conversation about your beauty has been on display, and people are discussing it. And the reality is, you're a human being.
Right.
So how has that part been, watching that unfold on social media and everyone talking about whether or not they find your look attractive?
It just proves that in this society, everyone is focused on things that does not have anything to do with them. When it comes to confidence, beauty, that's intrinsic. That has to be something that you feel on your own. That has to be something that you walk around with your crown and you tell yourself every day, I'm gorgeous, I'm beautiful, and I'm going to kill the world today. I'm going to knock it out the park. Nothing's going to stop me. Now, for someone to give an opinion on somebody else's beauty, I think that is a reflection of themselves.
Right.
Okay? I feel as though that is something you don't like about you, or you don't exude that confidence that that person has. So instead of reflecting on you and minding the business that pays you, you take your everyday experience, you jump on social media and you badger people all day. You don't think that's weird? If somebody's ugly or you don't like someone for whatever reason, you wake up every day and type their name in on a device to go and see what they're doing, to go and check out their pictures just so you could write ugly on it. That's weird. Right. And that's not healthy behavior. You will not find a comment from me on anyone's social media. I don't engage like that. It is not for me to voice my opinion. If you ask me, I will tell you. But I don't wake up every day trying to say you're ugly, you're pretty, you're not, you're this. It's not for me to judge.
Did it hurt your feelings?
Not at all.
Okay,
not at
good.
all. What feelings?
Okay.
How can I be mad at somebody who doesn't know me, who hasn't seen me in person? In fact, it actually makes life easier. When people think you're ugly and then they meet you, that expectation is just out of the park. They just, oh my God, you're gorgeous, you're this, because they've fallen victim to society's standard of what beauty is. There's not one standard of beauty. There's an array of beauty,
right,
in different shapes, different sizes, different complexions, different hair, short, long, skinny, tall. It doesn't matter. Everyone is going to have their own perception of beauty, and they're entitled to that. But it's not your right to voice your unwarranted opinion. I don't ask for it. So if you say it, you got your one tag, your one moment to say it, and off to the block party, because we're not here for negativity.
Right. Were you surprised by how much people came to your defense when the show aired? Because like I say again, this is our first time meeting, but I wasn't the only person. Like, there's so many people, because I know Evelyn got a lot of backlash on social media, and so did Shawnee. And that's why they had to have this conversation. That's why Mark Lamont had to have the conversation about Shawnee, about colorism, because that movement, well, I don't know if movement is the right word, but the energy that people felt after watching it was there, and that conversation was there, and they got a lot of backlash. Were you surprised, or were you, I don't know if the word is happy, but were you happy people were able to see what you had been experiencing?
The best word for that is just simple vindication. I've already known this. I've already known who I was before I stepped in front of anyone's camera and jumped on your guys' TV screens. So for me, it's just affirmation and vindication time and time again. I don't get excited because for me, it's nothing new. It is awesome to see the amount of support. I will never take that away from the people because I have gotten support from strangers, from people that know me, from people who haven't met me a day in their life. And that's a very large rarity. It's very rare if you're not a Beyonce, if you're not a big time whatever, to get that type of like beehive mentality or attack or somebody fighting your battles for you. So I think that's amazing. I think it's awesome. I do want to encourage people, don't allow that negativity to suck you in because it was here before us. When people ask that question, is there colorism? Colorism doesn't exist. I mean, where's my purse? Here we go. It's very simple. Colorism. Okay, let's go. We got a quarter. We got a nickel. We got a dime. Bomb. Very notable presidents that were worthy enough to be on a quarter, a nickel, and a dime to be immortalized in all of history. All of them are there. We got a penny. A very notable president, right? Lincoln. Who was also known for what? His advocacy of slavery, abolishing slavery, his advocacy of freeing black African slaves and allowing them to live a normal life, his advocacy of making sure they're not considered 1/3 or 3/8 or whatever you wanted to say we were considered as human beings. We were never a whole human being. But if you look closely, he is the only president facing the other direction. So when you ask me a question about colorism, pull out the coins in your pocket and answer that question for yourself. These people were here before I was born.
Right.
Why do they have them facing this way on a silver coin and this person who was definitely for the people, black people, facing the opposite way? They wanted to make sure in history he went down as a shameful person. Having their backs turned to this guy because he was standing up for black rights, allegedly.
And then also the penny is the least most valuable out of all of it.
Least valuable.
The least most valuable. See, you know, just for me and colorism, and again, like growing up as a child, I always loved my complexion. So I think my dad was preparing me for the world. So I never knew, I always loved being brown skinned. But as I got into the world, when people try to challenge me and say things like, I remember a guy literally told me before that I act like I'm light skinned because I was so confident.
What does that mean? What does that mean? How are you pretty for a dark skinned person? How are you lucky to be this because you got good hair? What does that mean? You see what I'm saying? How can you act like a color? Or for me, I got, oh, you sound like a white person. How does a white person talk? Who gave it the narrative that all white people are intellectual and speak proper English? Therefore, if I do that, I'm trying to be like them.
Right.
It's a huge, huge misconception. I know a lot of people who don't speak proper English from all different races, and I know a lot of people who do. The way I talk just means I'm well educated. So are we saying white people are more well educated, people of lighter complexion act a certain way that's just more respected, and if you act like that, you're considered that? No.
Right.
That is horrible stereotypical views, and that is what society is plagued with.
Yeah, and again, I think it's the word aggressive that was the trigger.
Right.
Because had it just been, if Shawnee would just kept it real and say, you know what, Evelyn's my girl, she don't want to be around OG, so, you know, at the end of the day, I just, you know, I got to look out for Evelyn's benefit. That could have been a whole other conversation because people do feel as though Shawnee was, in a sense, just protecting her friend, which is Evelyn. But that's not what she said. She said she's the most aggressive. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier about the police officer seeing a black man and saying he was aggressive. I was nervous. I was scared. I had to shoot. You know, and it's like we cannot allow, and whether we want to admit it or not, Basketball Wives has a major platform. Many people are watching it. So there is some type of, we let bullshit happen. We get it. The fighting, the drama, the pettiness. But that was a part where I felt, and I was very happy that people were like, oh, hell no. This isn't happening. So now, where do we go from here? Will you be on the next season of Basketball Wives?
I definitely cannot speak on where we go from here in regards to the show. I have an obligation. I signed a contract my first year. I'm fully aware of the terms of my contract. So that is going to be where
So you signed for another year.
If I signed my original contract, and within the scope of that contract, I know the terms. I'm a businesswoman.
Okay.
And I will fully oblige to whatever my obligations are. But in regards to what we do forward, I'm not allowed to speak on that. There's a lot of different moving parts that are happening. As you know, through social media.
Right.
That young lady attempted to get a restraining order.
Yeah, what happened with that? I almost forgot, so I'm happy you brought that up. So we saw on via social media that she tried to get a restraining order against you, and she's suing you. So the restraining order, what happened with that?
In regards to the restraining order, I can't speak on that. I went to court.
But was it denied? We heard it was denied. That's not...
I went to court.
Okay.
She was not present. It was denied and thrown out based off of the evidence that was presented. And, I take the legal system very seriously. I take abuse of the legal system just as serious. And for anyone to be sued or has ever been in that experience, it's very time consuming and it can be very stressful. So when you go to court, you expect the person who started this whole thing to be there. And she was not there. And that was very disgusting on my part. A little egregious. You decided to walk yourself to a very busy system that is set in place to handle real issues and make light of it, and then wake me up out of my peace to go and attend to whatever lies you perpetrated, and you don't even show up. That is a testament to the character that I'm dealing with. So in regards to the other case, I know nothing about that case. I have not been physically served with that case. There's nothing to speak on because at this moment, all I know is what I've seen on social media. And I'm one person who doesn't believe everything I read until I've actually put into the midst of it.
So we're talking about the other one is you being alleged, her suing you for defamation of character.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
I have no idea about that case. I have nothing to do with that until something is actually presented to me. I have not been served.
And the restraining order got ended because she didn't show up? Is that the reason why?
No, here's what I don't understand. Via social media, it was notifying me all the messages, ding, 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 ding. Look at what's happening. I woke up to like, wait, what? Had no idea. Then, a few days later, it's denied. We hadn't even gone to court yet. So this is what I mean by you cannot believe everything you read.
Right.
I'm reading that one day I'm getting a restraining order for domestic violence put on me. And then 2-3 days later, I'm being told by social media that it's been denied. Haven't even stepped foot on court. So where is the truth? These journalists and whoever's feeding them this information has no journalistic obligation to report the truth anymore.
Right.
So I'm finding out all of this via social media, yet no legal representation has come my way.
So the restraining order too you found out via social media?
All via social media. So I took it upon myself to find out when I was supposed to go to court. Ain't that something?
Wait.
I'm not even talking about this nonsense. It's not even my idea. She brings it up. She files against me. I get no notification aside from social media, and as a responsible adult, I still wake my ass up and go to court, and she don't even show up.
So, a lot of times people think that it's hard to take reality serious because we know that there's producers, it's a TV show. So we know that producers are trying to get moments and they're trying to get, the best clips. This is real, right? This is not, y'all not acting this out for the world. This is real stuff that's really happening. Is there any way, do you think, that you two could have a conversation, maybe without cameras, to repair your relationship, or is it a dead horse?
For me, I strongly believe that any type of conversation or any type of form has to stay in that same form. It's just like if you get a contract. If you get a contract and your terms are right here and you sign it, if you need to make any type of amendment to that contract, that amendment has to happen within the scope of these four corners on this piece of paper. So the very same way I was disrespected, the very same way I was lied on, the very same way that I was belittled or treated any which way was done publicly. So I need that public disrespect to be followed by any type of public whatever. Whether it be an apology, whether it be a conversation, it's all going to happen when it's going to happen the same way the disrespect happened publicly.
So you and Evelyn haven't talked since everything, I'm assuming.
I do not have that woman available to my life at all. She's been blocked on social media since last year, and yet somehow still finds her way on my story or finds her way posting stuff via her fan page. So
what about Shawnee? Have y'all had a discussion? Has Shawnee talked to you about what you went through and try to give you her point of view of it?
I have not talked to Shawnee to date. The last time I saw her was at the reunion.
Wow. So she didn't come to you and talk to you about colorism like she did with Mark Lamont Hill and just say, like, if you felt that way, that wasn't intentional? Y'all never had that conversation?
I have not talked to Shawnee since the day at the reunion on camera. We didn't even talk off camera. We weren't even in the same location.
Wow. Afro-Latino, because that came up, a big conversation with that, because you said you felt racism because Evelyn was using the N-word.
Correct.
Now, when Evelyn was using the N-word, did it always bother you? Because, so I'm from Connecticut, and I grew up with Puerto Rican people that have said the N-word, and it just never bothered me. But I do know black people who are offended when anyone outside of the black spectrum says that word. So was her saying the N-word always a bother to you, or people are saying, well, now she's bringing that up because you're just trying to paint this picture of her?
No, I brought this up the very moment I met this lady. Well, now she's bringing it up. No, this is the first time you get to see it because it didn't get cut out of the final cut. People need to start being more aware and being more cognitive of what happens when you're filming. There's no way for us to put everything in 1 hour. So be aware of that and make a very educated guess that, okay, this can't be the first time. It might have been the first time it made the air, but last year in Amsterdam, I addressed this issue and it didn't make the final cut. In fact, they showed a small bit of her and I having a banter, and then that didn't even make the final cut. It only made the previews. So this is nothing new. I don't use that word. I don't like other people to use the N-word towards me or in my presence, simply because I know what blood was shed against that word. That word was not a positive word. We, just as the black community, have the wherewithal and the swag to change it into something positive. That does not give you the green light to use it. Me personally, I choose not to use it because there are other ways where I can express my type of term of endearment to a person who looks like me. However, I think it's because we made it cool that everyone feels like, okay, I'm gonna put on my black today and I'm gonna use it. That's not what it's for. There are people who died because of their word. There are people who were hung because of those words. There are people who couldn't sit in this same room. We couldn't even be in the same room with somebody of our color because of that word. So I'm not going to abuse it and misuse it off of all the people from my ancestors who lost their lives to fight against that word. Now, if you choose to use it, you get a pass because you're black. You get a pass because you're from that generation, that bloodline who suffered and died because of that word. If you don't know what it's like to actually walk in my shoes, you are not allowed to use that word. Not in my presence, not in the vicinity, not in a text, not ever. And because I choose not to use that word, I'm trying to set an example for other black people to get that word out of their vocabulary as well.
So it's safe to say that, because again, that conversation has started with who I mean, it's a never-ending conversation. You know, who can say the word, who can't say the word. It's like, you know, black people feel like you. I don't have the same with that because I grew up with it, so it's different for me. But it doesn't make you right or me wrong. It's just how our experiences are. But is it safe to say that you don't like Afro-Latino people saying it? Because I felt as though Evelyn saying she was Afro-Latino, it was the past that I can say the N-word.
It was a pass, and here's what I will say to that. I find it very convenient to become Afro-Latina, because she's saying Latino, she's not even using it in the right tense. It's Afro-Latina if you're a female, and it's a Tino if you're a male. Throughout this entire process, I spoke very well Spanish to her, and she doesn't speak a lick of Spanish. She has not once said anything in Spanish in full sentence. I strongly believe if you're gonna rep something, if you're gonna rep a culture, if you're gonna be proud to be whoever you are and whatever you are, you actually know something about your culture. I turned to that lady and I said, in Costa Rica, ¿habla español? And she said no. So I find it very convenient to now being called out on using the N-word. Now you know if I say this, then it makes it okay to this group of people. Therefore, they're not going to turn on me.
Right.
It's too convenient. It's way too easy of a scapegoat. And for me, I feel as though anybody who's not black who uses that word feels like you could just put on black today and then tomorrow when you're in front of your white executives, you don't use that word, but when you're with your homies, no. If that's who you truly are, be that 24/7 like I am every single day. Be that complexion and have that experience that I have every day. I think it's convenient and I'm not buying it. You had 8 years, 9 years, however long you've been on the show to talk about that. You never once mentioned Afro anything. But now because you're being pointed out as what you are showing and what I'm observing, it's a problem. In Costa Rica, during that banter, I said, you're not black. What got cut out? Her saying, I don't want to be black. Why did you cut that out?
Oh, that was her response. That was her response?
And I said, yes, you do. I also said, you can stuff as much black in your pussy all you want. It still doesn't make you black. I don't want to be black. Why did that get cut out? Because the narrative was already addressed that, okay, shit, OG just called me out on a very racially charged subject, a very racially charged debate where if we show this is going to light the whole world on fire.
So how come to all the other girls who obviously are experiencing this and they heard it too, how come they don't come forward? Because I feel like the cast doesn't, at least what I'm seeing, besides Cece and then, Jackie, it seems like the other girls don't see your point of view.
Oh, no. How come all the disciples didn't come forward when Jesus was getting hung? You feel me? They want to what? Save their own ass. This is a dog-eat-dog world. Every woman and man for themselves. I am not expecting anybody to stick their neck on the line for me. What I expect people to do is what is asked of you within your scope of your job description and do what's right. And if right is right, wrong is wrong. But not everybody has that same core morale. Okay? Everybody's trying to hold on to what? Their check, their job, their livelihood. You could take every freaking materialistic thing from me today, take my bank account, and I'll still survive. Why? Because there's more to me than money. There's more to me than designer clothes, designer cars. Do I like nice things? Absolutely. I am human and I have my own vices. But what I don't do is stand behind while somebody else pulls a trigger and pretend like I didn't see that bullet come out that gun and kill somebody. I'm an advocate. I'm a person who stands up for what I believe in. I'm somebody who is going to earn a ticket up here, not down here because of money. You see what I'm saying? You got to keep your soul intact. Whether they felt like they could relate to what I was voicing out is up to them. But to idly sit by, you're just as bad. Right. You're just as bad, in my personal opinion. And I don't need them to co-sign anything that I do. They got to live with that, which is why you see a plethora of damage control. If you didn't do nothing wrong, why the hell are you talking about it months later? Why are you trying to sweep up and clean up and backtrack? I haven't said anything till this day. This is the first interview that I've done since I shot the reunion. Why? Because I did nothing wrong. And when you do nothing wrong, you don't have to do anything. Right. You don't have to say anything. Because you don't feel as though you're in the wrong. I stood up for what I believe in. I voiced my opinion on certain subjects. And I went to sleep very well at night.
Right.
It's just what it is.
I know you probably, you said you blocked her so you don't follow her page, but I don't follow her either, but I'm from my job, I'm constantly on Instagram, I'm constantly in blogs, and I saw that she is, Evelyn got baptized, and she's getting that part of her soul together. Do you have any thoughts about that? Do you think it's a PR, or could it be something sincere?
Listen, it's not for me to judge what somebody's religious journey is.
Gotcha.
I do know this. 1 baptism, 2 baptism, 3 baptism, at that point, you have to start digging deep, because you don't just get to dunk yourself in holy water and be absolved or whatever. It's actions. It's actions. I could go to church every single day and still be the most rotten person on earth. You see what I'm saying? I don't judge people based off of religious things like that, because I don't know their soul. I don't know their core true beliefs. If she's doing it for real, more power to her. More power to her. But if it's not, that's something you got to answer with the Most High, not me.
Right.
Because when we all go, death does not have no prejudice. Mm-hmm. Death doesn't say, oh shit, you light skinned, you're not going to die today, you're going to live. Death doesn't do that. Death is going to knock on every single person's door. You can fight it. It's inevitable. And when you die, you don't want to sit down there in front of the gates and say, oh, crap. Okay, here's the reel of my life. Damn, I should have gave that homeless man $1. When I knew I had something, I said I didn't have nothing. Dang, I shouldn't have played with God. Man, I should stop cussing and I didn't. Man, I should stop. We all sin. So it's not my place to judge her spiritual journey. But whatever it is, I pray that it's authentic.
Right.
That's all I could say on that subject.
I love that. I do want to ask you this because going back to when you Basketball Wives and when you were saying that she's not black, and there was a lot of conversation that you had a blonde wig on at the time.
Correct.
And it's like, how can you talk about a woman not being black when you're sitting there with a blonde wig on your head, which people associate blonde hair with white hair? What's your response to that?
It's a good choice of words. I like that you used associate. So do only white people have blonde hair? Because last I checked, the Aborigines, there's a whole African country with nothing but blonde hair and blue-eyed babies naturally. I know a lot of blonde girls that work with me at Hooters were not natural blondes. They were box-dyed blondes. I wore a blonde wig on purpose because I knew what we were going to talk about, because I knew we were going to have to dive deep in my interview about certain things that didn't make the air and some of it made the air. The blonde wig was a symbol of me showing I carry the genetic code makeup to make any hair color, any eye color, any gender, any species, you name it. The gene in the pure African genetic makeup can make a natural blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. Okay? My genetic makeup, if Kwame and I were to have a baby tomorrow, it could come out an albino. It could come out with hazel eyes. It could come out with anything recessive in my genetic makeup. You will never be able to find the genetic makeup in any other ethnicity that is fully coded to do that. We are the only ones. And that's probably why I'm so proud, because I know at the core of it that I can make and do anything because of my genetic makeup. If you are lighter, if you have lighter eyes, if your skin has an issue with the sun, that is a deficiency. That is a deficiency. The fact that I have the amount of melanin in my skin to protect me from any UV rays, to protect me from any type of insect bite, is a pure blessing. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. But we were taught in society to think that that's bad. To think that darker, bad. Dark means evil. Dark means devil. Dark means that's the light. You wear white at your wedding because you're pure. Those were man-made stereotypes put in place. Blonde hair, I could wear red hair tomorrow. Why? Because I can make a redhead. I can make a freckle-faced, blue-eyed baby. You can't. And I would never judge somebody based off of the hair. The comment I made about the cornrows was so stereotypically driven. It's a stereotype that black women wear cornrows. I'm not saying only black women could wear cornrows. I was saying that she came with cornrows perpetrating what? A stereotype.
So you don't think she just braided her hair because she just wanted her hair to be in braid? I was going to Costa Rica and it's like, I don't want to do it my hair. You think it was deeper than her putting cornrows? Because I thought the hair didn't bother me. And I think one of the reasons why that part didn't bother me, because, you know, I have a wig on. I have 1,000 wigs. I love my hair. But it doesn't define my blackness. So I was born with the body. I never had to get surgery. All I have is fake hair and lashes. But because I have fake hair, at times people say, well, black women, y'all can't talk about other women of other races because you guys buy hair. So if she wants to buy ass.
Races. The number one clientele that I had when I was doing hair was white women for weaves. That's a stupid way to think of something.
Right.
I'm not wearing this wig because I have no hair. I'm wearing this wig for many reasons. I'm an athlete. They don't give me enough time to fix my natural hair after I play a full game of football and have to get rushed up to sign some autographs. This is an easier way for me to allow my natural hair to hibernate.
Yes.
And my natural hair to not be damaged by what? Heat.
Everything. I think people understand.
They don't get it.
Like black people.
I have hair. You got hair. I'm sure you got hair under there.
I have hair. Look, trust me, I got it on really. Okay, let me tell you about black hair. And people who are black understand it. Our hair can be damaged by anything. You can have on a cotton shirt, and the cotton can make your hair break off. So it's a very sensitive. The weather, whether sun or not, it can. And when you work in media, because I think people don't realize, if I had to press my real hair every single day, it will fall out. I cannot put heat on my hair every single day. It just is not reality. And I'm gonna keep it 1,000%. Y'all might not like this. If I wore my natural hair and didn't do straighten it, I probably wouldn't have all the jobs I have right now. Let's just keep it real. Y'all know I do Fox in Chicago weekly, and I won't put any of my bosses online. I have a lot of different bosses for different entities, but there was a time when I wore my natural hair to work, and I was literally told to get my hair done. Get your hair done. And so it
was done. That's what they did.
Exactly. It was done, but to them it wasn't done. So when a black woman wears wigs or weave, it does not mean that she's not proud to be black. It doesn't mean that at all. Like Oji just said, there's 10,000 different reasons why she might be wearing a hairpiece. But you can't take away her blackness from that.
You can't, because here's the thing. I strongly believe natural hair is healthy hair. And that's a whole conversation we could have on a whole other day. It could take forever. But for me, it's convenient. It's being able to get up and go, being able to make sure I maintain my natural hair and it doesn't get damaged. There's a lot of, before lace units came out, before all of those arrays of options came out, when you only could do a sew-in full with some leave out, you had to have some hair.
Right.
You had to have something to braid down and tack that wig to or that weave to. You couldn't just be bald underneath. Now, hair has evolved. Hair has allowed us to do so many different things. If I want to wear blonde hair tomorrow, I can, and not damage my natural hair with the peroxide, with all the chemicals. So this is just an option, but it doesn't take away from our beauty. Last year, I wore my fro. And do you know how many people made fun of me? I wore my natural hair at an event. I didn't care. It was beautiful. It was bomb. It was big. It was healthy. Nobody was cheering. Oh, look at the beautiful afro. Look at her natural curls. Look at this. You should wear them more often. Nobody said anything, but I didn't need them to say anything. That's what I wanted to do that day, was to let my hair out. It's summer. I don't want to press it. I want to wear it in a fro. And it was what it was. But as you said many times at different jobs, I was told at Hooters I couldn't wear braids. Take my braids out and I couldn't wear my natural hair. So we didn't have an option. We had to wear weaves. We had to look like their quote-unquote version of the girl next door.
Right. I will say this. I talked about this on Fox one time before when it comes to the braids. And I didn't have a problem with Evelyn wearing braids, just personally. But like you said, you couldn't wear braids, but when other women of other ethnicities or hair texture wear braids, it's like exotic. It's like, oh, this is dope. This is beautiful. But when a black woman just comes out with braids, it's like, and braids and no hair added, just her hair braids. Right. It's like, oh, your hair's not done. Like, I mean, I'm very confident in myself. So, with the wig, without the wig. So, like, this is the wig cap. This is how I worked out this morning, right? Just had, like, my hair like this is easy. Then after, but if I just came to work with my hair like this,
it would be a problem.
Trust and believe it would be a problem.
Right.
It would be a problem. It just would be. And I think people don't want to talk about that.
Right.
They don't want to talk about that. The fact that, and I'm not conforming because I have to. It's like, I'm me regardless. Like, I'm me with this, I'm me with that.
I'm sure all your men, Kwame loves my hair like that. He doesn't care.
Right.
My wig comes off when I go home.
Most of the men like the natural hair better.
They say that, but I find this funny. I have a lot of homeboys.
Keep the camera on OG while I fix my wig.
I was about to take my wig, but I'm like, this is kind of
yeah, girl. I got no.
If I would have known,
you are good, girl. You are good.
Oh my God. But yeah, like, I think it's funny because I've dated those guys where I like the natural this, natural that, but you will see that on their social media, what they look at is all the fake butt, the fake breast, the fake hair, the fake teeth, the fake everything. So it's like, if you truly like that, that's dope. You just have to be with someone or know the person that you're with is confident with or without the wig, with or without the lashes, with or without the nails. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that us as women do that is not considered natural. So for me, I just like to look nice and I like what's convenient for me. Less is more. I like to get up and go. I'm an athlete. I don't have the time to be able to do my hair without damaging it. It's a regimen.
It is a regimen.
It's a regimen.
Yeah, people don't get that. Like, that's why when you were younger and your mom put your hair in braids all the time, because it was just easier. Because, like, let's say perms aren't popular in the black community anymore, so now people are wearing their hair natural. That means you gotta straighten it every single time. It's just more convenient for you to wear a hairpiece or to wear sew-ins. And I just do not like when we're judging these girls saying, oh, they're not proud to be black. It's a different world. Our hair is just different. We love we love our hair.
Right.
Don't get it twisted. But like you just said, it's more convenient at time to put on a hairpiece, some makeup, and there you go. And then your day is done.
And I'm all for it. Anyone, any gender, I don't care. If you want to wear a wig, I promote natural hair growth. Do it as long as you're doing it to make your hair grow. And let it be healthy.
I want to talk about Evelyn being a racist, because that was a big conversation that was on social media. And for me, and I didn't watch every single episode, I didn't think she was a racist. I did think you were dealing with colorism, which kind of, I don't know, now that as I'm talking to you out loud, can you have colorism and not have racism in the same situation, now that I'm thinking about that as I'm talking to you? But what ways that you say she was a racist? Because it wasn't because she wore the cornrows, because to me that wasn't racism by her wearing cornrows.
I definitely was not referencing the hair choice or any of that. I was simply referencing what I observed. If you observe a person making racial remarks, if you observe text messages from this person and another person saying, I don't want to be around those black people, or I don't want to work with this black product, that to me is a clear indication that they have an issue with this ethnicity. If you make statements, your blue, black ass, anyone who has any type of common sense will realize those are words that are racially invoked and come from a preference. Racism is a preference. You prefer one thing over the other, and then the negative connotation that goes with that is, and because you have this preference, you do not like the opposite of your preference. That is not okay. A lot of things were said in my presence that I observed. When you call someone Ling Ling or Lily or whatever it is you call them, that is a racially invoked comment. Now, by saying that, that was last year. That was a racially invoked situation last year. That was addressed last year. I was quiet. I stayed out of it. I did the best I could to defend Cece in the moment that it happened. Didn't make final air. Not a problem. Okay, so why was it when that happened, Cece was issued a verbal apology, a written apology, her son was given an apology, every single person involved and not involved was given an apology by the culprit, the person who made that racial comment.
Evelyn apologized.
Correct. Now, fast forward to this year, I'm getting personified as a monkey. I'm being told all kinds of things. They missed a lot of things. In San Diego, the lady said, OG, I'm glad she's on her bike in the back. These are all things that I observed that, you hear it and you're like, okay, how many strikes are you going to get before you're out? At the end of the day, they tried to defend what they did, and it boils down to this. You can have mixed children, interracial children, black children, and still have a certain preference. I'm pretty sure Washington had some mixed babies and he was still a slave owner. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I am just simply stating what I observed that either made air or didn't make air. It had nothing to do with the hair. That was a stereotype I decided to point out for reference in the moment. Mm-hmm. But the reality is what I saw and what I said was based off of what I observed.
What about her calling you a monkey? Because it was the Insta story, I believe. She said something that she never tagged your name, obviously, but it was like insinuated that this comment would be towards you, and there was like a monkey emoji.
Correct.
Did you take that towards you?
It was absolutely towards me. We were going back and forth on social media before that was posted. And what initiated it was I woke up to that young lady responding to somebody's tweet about me. This person, a fan, made a derogatory tweet about me. That young lady on our show responded to it clearly about me. I'm getting tagged, so I come to my own defense and respond to their initial conversation. She starts posting on her story, and here's a simple solution. If it wasn't about me, why'd you take it down? If it wasn't about me, why did you post and delete? Because you know it was about me. I have tried on about 3 of my phones, my brother's phone, my homeboy's phone, my boyfriend's phone, and typed in laughing emoji. Not once did a gorilla, orangutan, monkey, or anything of that family pop up. So your defense will not stand with me.
Right.
It was directed towards me.
You mentioned that Cece got an apology when she said the ling ling part. If she came to you and said, you know what, OG, I apologize. In hindsight, looking back on everything that you're saying is true, and maybe I should be more cautious of my behavior in those ways. Would you receive an apology from her?
I can't speak on something that hasn't happened.
Gotcha.
I don't know how I would receive anything unless it actually happened, so I don't want to speak prematurely.
Right. I get that. I think when I saw an interview of her talking about the monkey thing, and since her storyline it wasn't about you. So I think with Cece, because it was a verbal thing and she said there's no way of you not saying you weren't talking to Cece with the ling ling comment, and it's because it's on television and Asian people don't play. Now, all people don't play, but Asian people really don't play. Like, they will come down after you. And I mean,
so
all
the
groups.
African people,
exactly.
They were making fun of my hair tie.
Right.
They were making fun of me being from Africa my whole first season, and I said nothing. I defended myself to the best of my ability, but I said nothing. I don't think any group that's proud is going to play with any type of derogatory comments about their group that they're proud of. The problem is she had no way of backtracking. So she had no other option but to apologize to Cece because it was caught on film. So what do most people do, especially criminals? Especially people that are doing stuff they shouldn't do, they learn from their mistakes. So this time, I'm going to make it look as though it's anonymous. That way, I leave room to backtrack. Those type of things don't go over my head. I'm too smart for that. Most of the viewers are too smart for that. Everybody knows you were bantering back and forth with this person. And because last year you were reprimanded slightly by the possibility of not being able to come back, the possibility of sponsorships pulling, because nobody wants to align themselves with anything that has anything to do with racism or anything of that nature. You had to. How do we know if it's genuine? We'll never know. But you had to, because you were stuck between a rock and a hard place. You called her Lee, Ling, Ling, whatever you said. It was racist. Cece addressed it in the moment. She addressed it in her confessional. You're racist. She's not getting allegedly attacked or any lawsuits thrown her way, and she said you're racist a year before I said you're racist. You see what I'm saying? So there's such a huge contradiction, which all boils down to the vindication that if we're not talking about colorism, if we're not talking about segregation, why am I being treated different for saying the same exact thing somebody said last year?
Right. That's a good point. That's a valid point. And we'll see if this is going to go to the court of law, because you did clarify that although social media bloggers have said that she has now taken out a lawsuit against you for defamation of character for calling her a racist, you have not been served with anything.
Correct.
So there's no factual information that you will be dealing with this in a court of law issue.
Correct. I have no information about that case because I have no knowledge of it.
I heard you're a princess in Nigeria. Tell me about that. Has that always been something?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I am one of 5, and then I have different cousins and everybody in their lineage. We're from Asaba, and my family is from the Asaba tribe that is royalty. So we are doing my crowning ceremony. My sister already did hers. She's the oldest. We're 6 years apart. So now I'm doing my crowning ceremony, and that will make sure that if I ever go back to Nigeria, the way that the royal titles are in Africa now, it's not so much that you like it's glorified on TV where you sit in a castle and you delegate, because there are presidents, there's a democracy and all of that, but we have an influence, we have a say-so now. We can sit with the other chiefs and discuss certain things and certain political movements, and I think that's very empowering. I think it's very respectful. I mean, I could go about my life not doing my title ceremony, but still have that bloodline. But there's just something to going through that process and that experience that is important to my culture that I have to do. And doing it is just, it's something that I've always lived with. I've always known it. My siblings, we've always known it. We went to private school. I mean, any of my friends have known me since 4th grade, 6th grade. They know. I'm like, my dad's a chief. He's in Nigeria right now. What do you guys want? Do you want to bring you guys back this? Because it's just how we grew up and it's what we know. But when you are in the States, none of that matters. You see what I'm saying? None of it is held to the standard that it should be respected. You literally come from one country and you have to rebuild here. So I'm reminding people that I have not forgotten about my ancestry. And just a quick reminder to anyone in the US, I am a princess and there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone is excited for Meghan Markle, right? Our first black princess. No, there's other black princesses. It's just you guys don't know about it because out here it's not portrayed. It's not portrayed. What is shown in Africa and what is shown in America is literally two opposites. When you're in Nigeria, what you see about black Americans is gun violence, gang members, drug, mafia stuff, racketeering, jail, and that's it. Africa, fly-ridden countries with people with no clothes on. If it's a cartoon, you see personified animals. Where are the humans? Where's the civilization? We are pinned against each other. Right. So I'm trying to remind everybody there is royal lineage in your blood, and there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't give you the pass to be arrogant, but it does give you a source to be proud. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that.
I love it. So what benefits do you get being a princess? Like when you go back, like is it like, you know, again, I haven't been to Africa, which I'm really ashamed to say, but I haven't been to Africa. So obviously it was fictional, but when you say princess, I'm thinking of Coming to America, Prince Zamunda. You know, is it like that? Like what is the experience of being a princess there?
The experience of being a princess is just that. You get the royal treatment. You are highly respected in your community. You're highly respected at every event. If there's a political movement and you are of age and you want to take political office, you pretty much have dibs. The thing with Africa, there's a lot of great things about Africa, but there's a lot of things that need work. And in order for me to be able to be an influence, I have to take my title and I have to be able to influence it in a way that change can happen in a positive direction and we can continue to evolve and continue to just push nothing but positivity and just continue to show the world that no, there are not naked people running around with flies all over their face. We have 3-story buildings. A Mercedes in Nigeria is like a taxi cab. It's a common car. Like the things that we glorify out here, they don't realize it's bomb out there. And I know why it's put out that way.
Right.
You know, I know why. I know if we say don't go to Africa, it's crap, but we know that's the richest place that has the richest resources. Yeah, the government's going to tell you not to go there because you're going to mess up their plan to take all the resources. You see what I'm saying? So I get it. It's fine. But for me, this is special. This is something that has to happen. And I'll invite you to come to Nigeria.
Yes, girl, I'm trying to go. I get shots, right? It's more than just a passport, I heard, to go to Africa.
You can get shots. I'm not going... I have my own beliefs on the shots.
Okay.
You don't have
No, I thought you had to legally get shots in America before you go.
That's what they say.
Oh, that's not true.
But that's not true.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you retired from the football. So what else are you working on besides that right now?
So I'm excited to talk about my Bobble butt.
Okay.
Because that is something...
Yeah, what is this? Okay.
Girl, that is something that has been a work in progress for such a long time.
Okay.
So I had like this really dope moment in football where I tackled a person and then I twerked on her head.
Right.
And so I was like, how could I encapsulate this? How could I make this something that is frozen in time where it's still showing this moment, but also giving something back to my fans to always have me like as a part of them. So I was like, a bobblehead. But I'm like, no, you know, a lot of athletes do that. A lot of guys do bobbleheads. I said, how can I make it different? And then I'm like, I wonder if I could make the butt jiggle. And so I started doing some research and I started calling some companies and I found a partnership where I was able to create it to where the butt jiggles and the head jiggles.
Right.
So it's a whole...
Is it available?
Before Christmas.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're all waiting. When is the moment that we'll know whether or not you'll be back on Basketball Wives?
You know, I like to keep the suspense. You know,
Okay.
I don't really want to put too much out there. I allow the network and the production company to do their job and to be able to announce whatever they choose to announce when they choose to announce it. So there's not a set moment. I guess you'll see it when it's on TV. I don't know how else to put
Because
that.
I mean, strongly, if you're not on it, hands down, I'm not watching it. If you are on it, I will support it as much as I can. But physically, I literally had to stop because I was so emotional and getting so mad and getting so drained. It was like a really draining thing for me. And I was like, you know what, this is why I don't watch reality TV as much, because the kind of person I am, when I see all this bullshit happening and it's not right, it really was draining me. So I was like, you know what, I have to give it up. I didn't watch the reunion when you came back. I just watched the clips. I gotta say, I was mad you came back. Why did you come back?
I have a contract. If you don't fulfill your contract, you're in breach of your contract.
What about Cece? She didn't go, so was she breaching her contract and Tammy breached her contract?
Tammy did not breach her contract.
Okay.
Cece had a viable reason to not get in trouble if she was held for breaching her contract, because she was actually almost attacked. So that is grounds to not feel safe. When someone is running after you and almost hits you in the back of the head, you can definitely say, just as Jen did the previous year, I don't feel safe. Malaysia threw a table at me. I'm not going to be in the presence of someone who threw a table at me. She's good.
Right.
She's good. I'm being the one painted as the aggressor. So I cannot just leave because I have an obligation where I need to be present at this final event of the show. However, I also decided that it was my duty to deliver my message, my story from my mouth, and not allow anybody to paraphrase or speak on my behalf, especially when I don't think the objective was to be in my favor in terms of speaking on what I experienced and what I observed. So I came back for two reasons. I was not going to, it's like, we're working, guys. This is a job. Are you going to, if you leave work and say, you know, I'm out of here, I leave work, and you don't have a reason to, what's going to happen? You're terminated, you're written up, you're suspended. This is my job. And a lot of people forget that, yes, we are on TV. Yes, it's just reality TV and we're talking about our lives, but it is still a job. It is still a business, and I have to remain professional to the best of my ability. So I came back. I know a lot of people were disappointed, but I had a job and I had to fulfill my obligations as a responsible person, and I did just that in the manner that I chose to do it. Was I emotionally charged, and did I want to leave and never look back? Absolutely. And that's what I did. But then I had to check my emotions. I had to check myself and say, this is your job. Your job is to be yourself, and that is what you're getting paid to do. So you have to fulfill that obligation and leave it at that.
Would you been held accountable because they were trying to, because the only reason I was mad came out because they put you in the other room. Like, the other set is what, you know, was driving me insane, that the fact that they didn't give you the honor of being on the main set where everybody else was sitting. So could you have used that as a way and wouldn't affect your contract, as you guys are not, I will come back if I can be where I'm supposed to be, because I'm quite sure that's in your contract. It wasn't like we got to separate you, but you also did want to tell your story too.
Absolutely. Okay. And in my opinion, it actually backfired. You made me on a giant screen and forced yourselves to all have to look up to me. Like, to me, the image actually backfired. Your attempt to isolate me actually made me the center of attention, which is what I wasn't trying to do. I was trying to come, talk about everything that pertained to me, and then allow each woman to give their experience from what happened on the show. Right. That's what you do at the reunion. You give either the resolution or the lack of resolution to your viewers. Right. And their attempts, and I'm saying they because I don't know. I don't know who was behind it. I don't know whose idea it was. I really don't care. All I know is when it was presented to me, I didn't think that was the right way to go about it. But at the very same time, it does not say in my contract that you will for sure get to sit on this stage. I got you. You just got to be present. And I was present and available, and then I wasn't.
Got you. Before I forget, can you clear it up? Did you push Evelyn when she was running after Cece, or did she naturally fall? Because that's been a big debate on whether or not you actually pushed her and then she fell down, or she just naturally fell into the bushes or whatever.
Well, I definitely posted the clip that aired, the full clip, on my social media, so I don't know how anyone with eyes, unless you're blocked, couldn't see. What happened was she was running after Cece to do God knows what, and I wouldn't say push, I just removed her like a shed block, in football, where I put my hand and just pulled her back, and then we're on an incline, so she might have lost her balance or she might have tumbled. I really didn't look back. I just looked back once to make sure she didn't hit her head on the brick wall, because it was all happening so fast. But then I was also, you saw, if you really paid attention, if you really opened your eyes in an objective way, you would see that I was actually being the mediator.
Oh, no.
I was like, stop, Evelyn, stop. Cece, over here. I had my hands up for both of them. I was trying to stop a fight, but allow them to talk. But anytime I tried to do that, everyone tried to revert it back to me like I was a problem. In every scene, I literally tried to stop the physical.
Well, in that
literally.
In that scene in particular, as a viewer watching it, and now I didn't know that you touched her like at all, whether it was a touch or anything. But the fact that you did touch her, and when she got up, she didn't go after you, lets us all know that, okay, she is afraid of you in a physical manner, because that's not how Evelyn rolls. You know, she's always ready to fight, and if you touch her, she's really ready to fight, but she didn't want to fight you. And I think really what happened is, just as in us talking in this hour, you're very well spoken.
Thank you.
You know, you're very well spoken, and you can get them all in a verbal argument, right? Because you can back up the things that you say.
Right.
So what happens is, usually when you lose the verbal argument, you go to the physical argument. That's what we've seen in the past. Right. When Evelyn didn't get her way verbally, now I'm going to resort to physical. Well, they all know that you can whip their ass. Okay, let's just keep it real. You can
Right.
like if they initiated a fight, it's not going to come in their favor. So it's like, damn, I can't beat her verbally, I can't beat her physically, and what you shouldn't have you think about anyways. But this is the show we're talking about. So now she just has to go. She just has to go, because there's no way I'm going to let her look like she's better than me. Like, that can't be allowed. So we'll just get rid of her altogether. And that, I think, is what really caused the uproar. It's like, no, now it's a taste for your own medicine. I don't really have, prior to this, I mean, I have strong feelings about Evelyn now, because I did not like the treatment I saw when it came to you. Prior to this, I didn't really hate her or not liked her. I mean, I thought she was beautiful. Her clothes were nice. Like, you know, it is what it is. It's a reality show. I wasn't emotionally connected in a, like, I don't like her. That wasn't me. But I did not like the treatment she had for you. So that just turned me off completely.
Came out of nowhere. I will say this. My first season on the show, I was nice to every single person that I met. I was helpful. I mean, there's so many things that I did that I didn't have to do, from braiding one of my castmates' hair so that it wouldn't get caught in the bike in Amsterdam, to helping people up, to having one-on-one moments like, hey girl, just calm down, like, I know you're really heated. Of course, you guys don't see all this stuff, and I think that's probably what eats away at the collective, because they know deep down, OG's cool as fuck. OG's funny as hell. I've laughed at her jokes. I've bantered with her. We've had dope on and off camera experiences. But because I'm told now that I need to go this narrative and this directive, I feel unsettled. And all of us have family and friends. All of us have close people in our circle who will tell us if we're right or wrong. And I strongly believe that a lot of these women started feeling the backlash, not just from the fans, but from their immediate friends and family. And that's where the backtracking comes. That's where the clean up the mess comes, because we have to live this twice. Mm-hmm. In real life, and then when it airs in reality TV, it's months later. We got social media, so we got to relive all of these accounts all over again. So for me, the reason why I feel complete and the reason why I feel okay to talk about whatever happened is because I'm not hiding anything. I was very respectful, and I was very nice to everybody who was respectful and nice to me. The moment you decided to deter that, that's when you got what you gave me.
And it also reveal your true colors. Like, that's the part that people got with. Is like, you know, I got a lot of backlash when I use the word diluted, but I don't take away from that, because you kind of talked about it earlier. Everybody want to be black. Everybody. You know, everybody want to be black because black is the cool thing. But but some people want to be black when it's convenient to be black, and not when it's black 24/7. And I just feel as though the first man was found in Africa, so everybody has African descent in them in some degree. So I was wise enough to know that. But, you know, blood has been mixed or diluted. They mean the same thing with other ethnicities. Correct. So because of that, your hair is going to be different. Your skin tone is going to be different. You're just going to be different in certain ways. But if your base is African and you be proud of African, to me, I'm just always confused when we look at African people and say, well, that's ugly. Well, that's you, isn't it? You. Like, aren't you telling me? Ugly. Yeah, you're basically telling me if you weren't mixed with other ethnicities, then you would be ugly. Right. That's kind of how I felt about it when it comes to that whole thing when I was talking about bloodlines being diluted. And we do live in a country where, unfortunately, we are treated by the way we look. Absolutely. It's just, we're not going to act like that's not true. We're treated by the way we look in this world. I want to just say, it's been an honor to talk to you. You're everything I already knew, though, because see, I'm a black girl, you know, so I could watch the TV, and you're not foreign to me. I know. And this is a compliment, not an insult. Many educated black women that can speak well, that can hold their composure, but will burn the fucking house down if they're pushed there. You know? Mm-hmm. And I think what happened with you, which I think is so great, and I'm hoping that you're happy that you're on the show, is that you exposed everything more than anyone ever could, because I didn't like the treatment from Jennifer prior, but Jennifer is not an arguer. You know, she wasn't winning her verbal arguments with Evelyn, but that just wasn't her space anyways. And I feel like Jennifer and Evelyn, they had such a true friendship. Their dynamic is always going to be a little bit more complicated. But I used to watch the show and I used to be so mad, like, Jennifer, defend yourself, defend yourself, defend yourself. I used to feel that way, but it just never really kind of happened, right? And then here comes OG, who just can like talk it, can back it up. You ain't gonna be able to hit me. You ain't gonna be able to throw nothing at me. You're gonna have to sit here and have a conversation. But really, your secret, not secret weapon, but the biggest thing was the Chad moment. Well, yeah, like the homie. Like the fact that you had that, you know, and use it at that precise moment to reveal it. Like, you're trying to downgrade me in this moment by trying to talk about my looks of being ugly, and while you're looking for your wedding dress, your guy was hitting me up on Instagram.
And that's unfortunate. I had no idea about the timeline, but the beautiful thing is I'm not easy, so at least she can sleep well. I didn't sleep with him.
Right.
I never did. And he is an awesome person to me. I cannot speak for other people's experiences. He's never done nothing to me. He has been cool, cordial, reached out after all of this happened.
I was going to say, have you talked?
We have. At first I ignored his calls.
Okay.
And I talked with Kwame, and you know, this is something that I am a very strong believer. You just don't sweep things under the rug. And he's cool. After he posted what he chose to post, he did his little Twitter thing or Instagram thing, and that reignited it, and here we go again. He reached out. He was very nice, and you know, I have no ill will towards him.
What did he say when he called you? He wasn't upset that you brought his name up?
No, he called me a few times. I didn't answer. He was definitely not upset.
Now, he called you after the show aired, I'm talking about, right?
After the show aired, after the reunion, I did not speak to him. I was just in my own bubble. I had a lot of stuff to digest. A lot happened, you know. So I had a lot of stuff to digest. So I just stayed to myself. And then after he posted on Instagram, he messaged me. It's all love, no negativity. He knows. Last year, I already tried to avoid this type of thing. Right. But that's not what they wanted. So in the end, I still feel vindicated. I didn't do nothing wrong. For the record, Kwame and I were not together when I didn't even know Kwame yet. They tried to spin it and make it seem like we were together when we were not. And it's just one of those things. I'm open in my relationship in the way we talk. So my man will never have to find out anything about me from somebody else. He will hear directly from me, and that's what happened.
Got you. To be clear, so you and Chad haven't talked. It was an Instagram conversation.
Yeah, he hit me up on social media. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good. That's peaceful.
It's still a form of communication, and that's all that needs to happen.
Did he really delete his responses that we saw with Evelyn? Remember, she had all these tweets, so he deleted his responses to what she was reading.
Absolutely, I offered it up. I mean, I said, here's my phone. You can read it. Thankfully, on Twitter, you can delete from your end, but you can't delete from somebody else's end. So I chose to show what I chose to show, because some things are important to clear up, and then some things are none of you guys' damn business. Like, you don't need to know my entire conversation with the man. I got a game. You're not going to just, you know what I'm saying, pick up all what I say. But I gave exactly what was happening in that time frame, and nothing was deleted on my end, and I offered all my text messages. My phone, I have had an iPhone since they came out. I thank God for iTunes. All you got to do is keep backing it up, and nothing gets deleted, and it's all proof. It's all there.
Her face when you said that, like, now I'm happy the camera didn't cut that out. Is there anything from that scene that was cut out that we, like, was it longer? Because you said earlier when you said to her, you want to be black, you said, I don't want to be black. That was cut out of the show.
Correct.
From that scene, did they take anything else out of it that we missed that would have been even extra spicy?
There was a lot. It was a very intense.
But you were happy what they showed? Were you happy?
I mean, listen, what they showed is what they chose to show.
Okay.
If they like it, I love it. I mean, I'm not an editor and I don't have executive producer rights to get to choose. What they showed was what they showed. There was a lot more, and I was happy with the original content, but what they showed is what they showed. So
I came all the way to LA to have this conversation with you in person. I thought it was very important to really dive in. I think we covered everything. If there's anything I left out that we didn't cover, was something that you wanted to talk about we didn't touch on, I think we covered everything.
No, just that I'm excited about my Bobble buds. I'm
yes,
excited about getting my princess ceremony on, and I got a lot of great stuff happening. So I just hope that everyone stays focused on the positive, not the negative.
With all that happened, do you regret doing Basketball Wives, or are you happy that you did it?
I'm not a woman who lives with regrets at all. No rear view mirror for me.
So, okay. I think the experience was, I mean, to me, I felt like they were trying to make you a non-factor, and you became the factor. Like
the wow factor.
Yeah, you became the factor of the show. And regardless how you feel about it, you're necessary, because you gotta have that equilibrium, you know, and you just expose a lot of things. So I enjoyed you. I appreciate you being open and honest, and we were able to dive into this conversation. And I wish you nothing but more success and keep representing for all women. But I do especially love how you represent for women of our hue, because whether we dive into it or not, there are young dark-skinned girls who are still growing up and hate their skin tone and just think that they're not going to be considered beautiful because of their skin tone. And I love that you wear this like, you're like, we wear this complexion as a badge of honor. You know, like, I'm so proud to be dark skinned. I don't have to pay for a tan. I wake up this way every day. I'm going to be looking younger, longer, because, you know, our skin is just so bomb. So you just do a good job representing all of us, and we love you, OG.
Thank you so much. And it was definitely a pleasure to be here. I hope that I'm doing, this is big shoes to fill, representing a whole hue, but, you know, I'm doing the best I can.
Well, we hope she comes back to Basketball Wives. We're not going to know. She won't tell us just yet, but it's fine with me. You gave us more than enough of your time, and just keep on keeping on, girlfriend. Princess OG.
Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful. This is great.